What's up? Want to show you how I help Nick here, who does podcasts, interviews, and how I 75x'd the amount of views that he usually gets and really helped scale his business here. And I'm pretty much helping scale his business or build his business while you're watching this. So we're going to see how this goes. Hopefully I can make another video about how much this has helped his business. But in the making of this, he doesn't yet have an offer, so I'm helping him with that. But right now we're just building an audience here. And he hired me to be like, hey, can you just look at this video that I'm preparing to upload and just like give me some advice and try to make it the best video possible. So, and here it is, 75x, Ted Bundy psychologist explains why people stay in abusive relationships. And I'm going to show you how I knew what to change here. And it wasn't much about what he was doing wrong, it's what he could do better. And you're going to find the fundamentals here if you ever interview or if you have a podcast, and how you can do the exact same and perhaps even more than 75x your usual views, helping you scale your offer, your service, your product, whatever it is. So let's get into it. So the first thing I looked at is the thumbnail, of course, which is the first thing that pretty much anyone really looks at. So I looked at the thumbnails here, what he did previously. And so as you can see with what we have here, we can see Nick on the left, the person being interviewed on the right, and text in the middle, which is the exact same thing in the 75x video. However, how we do it and, the execution here is what really makes a difference. So as you can see, Nick and the person being interviewed just take up barely like 2/3 of the space here, right? Where in the 75x video, they're taking up a whole bunch more space to the point where they're being cut off. And that is what we want. We want it to be where we could see their expression and really get a clear focus on their face, where here we could barely see them, and that's just a whole mess, right? We want to see faces. We're attracted to faces, human faces, regardless of how attractive or unattractive they are. We are attracted to human faces, and we really want that to be, one of the things that people see, one of the aspects, one of the 4 aspects in a thumbnail. So as you can see, that's pretty much what we did, as well as the text. Now, the fundamentals here, right, and we didn't change the fundamentals. Nick, the person being interviewed, text. That's literally a black background. Keep it simple, because it works for everybody else. If it works, don't try to fix it, right? Is that the saying? I don't know. If it works, don't fix it. Something like that. If it works, don't. I forgot. Never mind. But as you can see here in the text as well, we got white text, red. We got a yellow box. We got black inside of the yellow box. It's a whole mess, right? And he did discuss wanting to have some sort of branding, but I'm like, that is not how to do it, right? So literally what we have here, white text, and we have behind one of the lines in the right text is a red box. That is it. That is all we need. Literally 5 words, perhaps. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 words, since they're a little bit shorter, like I, to, how. I didn't know how to leave. And literally just for variation, we put the red box behind I didn't know. We could have also put it behind how to leave, but nonetheless, that is pretty much all we did in terms of the thumbnail. And as you can see, it made a huge difference. Nick couldn't see exactly what was wrong with it, but we did present it to him. And of course, as you can see, the CTR did do a whole bunch better than what he usually gets for a 500,000 impression video podcast. 3.5 is pretty neat. So from there, we looked at the title, right? Because we can get the thumbnail down, but if the title also isn't good, then not much is going to happen. So pretty much the fundamentals also stay the same. So as you can see, evolutionary psychologist explains why people feel shame. Literally, its profession explains blank. Literally whatever you're going to discuss in the interview there. And we keep it the same. Ted Bundy psychologist explains why people stay in abusive relationships. However, and I want you to remember this word, angle. Right, it's about how you angle it. Because YouTube and the self-help niche, and probably the niche that you're in, is so oversaturated, quote unquote, it is, it's really hard to cut through the noise. And that's why angling is so important, because you don't really have to make content like no one else. You just gotta angle it in a way where it looks like it provides more value to your audience, or the audience you're trying to capture, your ICP. So, for example, we could have just said psychologist here, but we decided to put Ted Bundy psychologist. So we did research, or I did research on this psychologist, and it looks like he had several books or stuff like that, or interviews about Ted Bundy. So that was something that we haven't yet seen before in the niche. So we put Ted Bundy psychologist to give him a unique sort of angle for his profession. It literally explains, we could say, exposes or discusses something like that, any sort of synonym you want. And then why people stay in abusive relationships. Now, because we already had some sort of unique mechanism in the Ted Bundy psychologist thing, we didn't really have to do a lot of heavy lifting with the why people stay in abusive relationships. We could just keep it nice and simple because the Ted Bundy psychologist does provide the unique mechanism we need to capture the audience. Now we need to give them some sort of tangibility and familiarity. So we did provide why people stay in abusive relationships, so that way they know what this Ted Bundy psychologist is explaining. So in terms of that, compare and contrast here with this video, evolutionary psychologist, it's all right, we've heard of that. The video on the left, if you can see just a psychologist, we need something different. And then if you're just going to put psychologist, what you need to be explaining needs to be that unique mechanism. So what to do when you feel lost in life is not unique at all. So we can see why that video didn't perform as good. But yeah, then in terms of retention, if you think, oh, I don't want people to click on my video, then what? It's just going to help people click on the video. It's not going to help them stay all the way through. Yes, it does. Because if you angle your video in a certain way, it helps the people to stay there longer and to give your video more of a chance. So depending on how you package your content, they're willing to stay longer to hear what you got, or willing to drop off earlier than, what they initially wanted to or were able to do. So it does also help your AVD. As you could tell, this is probably the best performing retention graph of an hour-long video in his channel. So that was awesome to see as well, and that's what definitely helped with gaining more of the impressions. And as you can see, the CTR stayed relatively moderate, not going too high, not too low, which is great. We don't want that. We don't want anything too spiky. But yeah, nonetheless, if you have a channel like this where you're interviewing people, it could be in any sort of niche, or you have a podcast or anything like that, trying to sell your offer or your service, I almost had a British accent then, or your service, then dude, this alone will completely change how you get clients on YouTube, on TikTok, on literally any sort of social media, on Instagram. All this applies there. If you'd like to learn more and perhaps even get on a call with me, the link is in the description. You don't have to, but if not, then that is completely fine, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.